So Bitcoin is breaking out. It's looking pretty damn good. But we're going to talk today about the news of the ETF. But ultimately, not too long ago, good 30 odd years ago, there was an ETF that got launched on the S&P 500. Want to look at the price data from that. Thank you, Jamie, for the video idea on Learning Crypto live stream this morning. Link below if you want to jump in. Low cost membership, courses included, everything. It is, by the way, different to Patreon, so don't get confused. However, 1 month high ETF inflows looming halving. Ooh, very bullish all of a sudden. So just be careful. Don't get too overexcited, but it's looking relatively good. And at the end of the day, we're looking at this big psychological level that has just been broken. Okay, we could go even higher. But this is where it gets interesting. 78% of the crypto industry now expects a Bitcoin all-time high within the next 12 months. It's not that far away. In the grand scheme of things, it really is not that far away, okay? Now, this is a consensus survey, and yeah, let's look at it in the obvious sort of situation. These are some kind of random-ass predictions. I said in one of my previous videos not too long ago that I think that Bitcoin will hit a certain number. I'm not going to reveal that number, but I'm just going to put it out there anyways. It's not as dramatic as you think. Personally, I'm bullish, but I'm not crazy bullish. I am looking to grow my Bitcoin, though, using the altcoins. If you know my methodology, you'll know that, right? However, go away. If the spot ETF of becoming popular, it could could create a huge bubble, which is fine. I understand that. It's obvious. But we all know what happens here. What happens? You're probably asking. Well, big green candles creates FOMO, creates catalyst, creates volume, creates interest, creates people wanting to do things around crypto. Everything goes up. YouTube videos go up. The view count go up. Amount of tweets, news articles. You get the idea? So it will create a surge. It always does. But the most important thing we need to look at is obviously this. The trigger of liquidations. It's normal trading environment, right? People are trying to short it. People got blown up. People go long at the bottoms. People go short at the bottoms. They get blown up in whatever way, shape or form, right? But when we look at the information here, the IBIT could prove substantial movement to the Bitcoin market value. It all comes back to market value. And you've also got to look at the consideration of post-halving. But let's look at the numbers, the data, the information around this and what it could mean for your altcoins in the future as well. Inflow, not bad. Roughly $1.7 billion market value increase, Grayscale's obviously reducing, that's fine. But we need to talk about the obvious here. The first ETF came out pretty much over 30 years ago. This is obviously an older article. But what is interesting here in this article is the fact of the change. Obviously, the first index fund, the Vanguard 500 index, was created in 1976. A little bit different there. It wasn't traded in the same way. But when we look at like the success and the growth here, 1996 dot-com era started. There was $2.4 billion in assets under management. Look at it now. It's crazy, right? 1997, there were only 19 ETFs in existence. By 2000, there was 80. There's quite a lot now. We've already got quite a lot of ETFs in Bitcoin already. But what about if that translates to something more? What about if it translates to more altcoins and stuff like that? Which is huge. But this is a bit of data that I want to show you, which is going to scare people. Let me remove that. This is when basically roughly around this sort of point was when the first ETFs got created in the S&P 500 around 1990, early 90s, right? It just didn't pull back. It literally didn't. So when we talk about don't underestimate it, I'm being serious. Don't underestimate it. And I've already talked about it not too long ago with gold. Gold is the exact same thing. The gold ETF came out, and you feel free to look to see where you think it came out, but it actually came out around here, the 2003, 2004. It hasn't corrected since pretty much, apart from obviously this situation here, which is fine, but reality is it didn't correct. So as much as I'm kind of scaring people into a bit of hopium, the reality is here we can't really underestimate how powerful a potential ETF could be for Bitcoin. Now, what scares me more is the fact of the scarcity factor with halving. As much as we go through the news and we look at the news and catalyst of news and all kinds of stuff, the surveys found 40, whatever, it's all bollocks. The reality is we can't get away from the fundamentals of Bitcoin. Its scarcity is unbelievably powerful. The fact of the halving narrative is huge. the cycle driven by the traditional markets as well is massive. When we look at the ETF inflow volume, it's bloody huge. So what does it mean for us? What should you be doing? Well, what you should be doing is trying to get as much Bitcoin as you possibly can with whatever means necessary. That doesn't mean sell your granny or your cat. You get the idea? You should be looking to accumulate. I personally, and you'll know this if you're on Patreon, you'll know this if you're in Learning Crypto, use altcoins. I buy low, I sell high, but I do it with hindsight and the mindset of Bitcoin dominance. Because stuff like this, even though I'm in a little trade here on Bitcoin going to the moon, which is fine, looking incredible by the way, it's just one of those things, it's just a trade. But my biggest wealth comes from having Bitcoin through the altcoins, looking at these dominance charts, the BTC pairs. I know I'm confusing you, but that is how I grow. However, not many people do. Too many people look at altcoins and think they're going to make mega money, but they're not actually looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture, the most obvious picture in front of you is actually this beast here, Bitcoin. It really is the king, which is scary to think, right? We do not want to see dominance rise up too high. Personally, I think we're going to go up to these points here, and then we may well see a huge run, hopefully a huge run down. That would then lead us to sell assets into Bitcoin and hold Bitcoin and create wealth as a cryptocurrency investor. Then when it repeats again in a couple of years' time, we can do the exact same thing. So let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think Bitcoin is going to create a new all-time high? Do you think it's going to explode to stupid, silly levels this cycle? Do you think the cycle will eventually stop? Which is another fucking narrative that I do not want to go into in this video, but I could go into it very, very easily. Because when you look back at what I've just said regarding the little S&P 500, which you may have heard of, when I just peel back the curtains on the weekly time frame, it didn't really stop much. There was a dot-com bubble correction, yes. There was the banking crisis correction, yes. But if you are looking at structure, didn't really change much, did it? I mean, numbers go up. Crazy amounts of numbers go up. When you consider the S&P at 337 points to where it is right now, pretty scary. Anyways, want more content?